Hello, soulmates, and welcome, loons, to our romantic asylum of hockey butts and beautiful, beautiful men. This is First Dates and Soulmates, and I am Nikki McKnight.
And I'm Meg Nikki.
And we are joined again by Andréa Jones. Hi, Drea. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you for letting me crash the pod again.
Always. I feel like this is our third episode talking about Heated Rivalry, and I feel like we needed this holy trinity to continue this conversation about this show that has just blown up the entire world and my entire internet. But I'm grateful.
I don't know what social media is without Heated Rivalry anymore.
I think my feed is just going to be screwed for the next couple of months. It's like when you have an earworm on Spotify, or if you have kids and you play kids music through your Spotify, and then you get your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year, and it's like, you listen to 700 hours of Cocamella, and you're like, no, damn it, the kids skewed my thing. This is forever going to skew my social media, but I think I'm okay with it.
I don't think you're going to be mad about that, though.
No. I don't hate it. And to me, it's like so fun to see the most random people also get absolutely feral for the show. Like, I'm a huge iJustine fan, and she posted that she's watching Heated Rivalry. I'm like, yes, we are impacting millions.
I know.
Yes, I was picking my kids up from school, and I ran into one of their teachers in the parking lot, and they were like, what are you up to? And I'm like, oh, we're recording a podcast about Heated Rivalry. And she was like, what? And then she text messaged me that night. She was like, oh my God, you just changed my life. Like, the first grade teachers are all on board for Heated Rivalry.
And I think we've seen this show up in so many places. I'm a huge fan of Isabel Klee, Simon Sitz on social media. She's a foster based out of Brooklyn. Love her. She just started watching it. Or the comedian Taylor Tomlinson watched it and was posting about it and was like in tears. Caitlin Riley was watching it and was just like, oh my God, what is this show? And I love that it has become everybody's personality.
Oh my God. So I feel like the ripple effect of this, even seeing people now start to read books that they wouldn't have read before. So I follow a ton of queer influencers. And so just seeing like some of my favorite influencers who are not in the book space at all, suddenly going, well, what else should I read? And then all of us going, oh, we have lists. And we're happy to spread the love. It's like, it's so exciting to me.
Welcome to Romancelandia, where there's a happy ending no matter what. And there's usually sex on the page.
Please, yes. I actually saw a Reddit post this week where I think it was a gay man writing into the Heated Rivalry subreddit saying, so I just read Game Changers and I liked it. And I'm curious, like, it seemed like a lot of sex. Is this pretty standard for these types of books? And the comments were like, oh baby, this is not a lot. Like, this, it was graphic, yes, but it was pretty tame compared to the rest of the stuff that we're reading. And so it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, we're impacting, like, this entire genre is basically changing and we're watching it in real time, which is fucking wild.
And I feel like the genre as a whole is always welcoming, but especially the queer readers are like, yeah, baby, come home. Like, come in. We've got so many options for you. Here, just subscribe to Kindle Unlimited. Let the algorithm play for you. Like, once you find one really good author that you love, the algorithm will just give you the next 40,000 books you want to read because it's all here.
Yeah, and it's got like the Empty Netters podcast really blew up over social last couple weeks. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. No. It's a hockey podcast. It's three bros talking hockey, kind of like what Chaos was. But they started doing episode recaps, and I've only watched clips like on TikTok and on Instagram, and they were very confused in the first episode. So people were kind of reading them in the comments for, yeah, honey, no, like, you don't even know what this genre is. Like, But then they really got into it to the point that they live streamed on YouTube, the three of them reacting to the finale as they watched it.
I love that.
And they're like, one of them was fucking in tears by the end of it. Like, oh my God, he said, I love you. Or when like Ilya shows up at the airport, they're like, Ilya looks like the Sperminator. You telling me nobody recognized him in that airport? Yeah. And people are just being like, oh, you should do this. And then they just had Senya, who plays Svetlana, was on the show. And I think the episode dropped today or yesterday at the time of this recording. So like, she went on the show. And you go to NHL games and they're playing the Harrison cover of Tattoos, All the Things She Said.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like it's picking up in all of these non-romance spaces, which I just appreciate it getting this much traction. And then if y'all haven't seen, Hudson and Connor also recorded fairy porn erotic audio for
I saw
Quinn.
that on Quinn. Yep.
I was like, good for them. Good for them, y'all.
And also props to the Quinn marketing team for really jumping in on that. I read a whole interview about how that came to be, because as a marketer, I was like, oh, that was fast. Like, they really got it together. And that, I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Actually, Dre, like, I saw a couple of different reports. I didn't watch the official Quinn like interview they did with them, but some people were like, "Oh my God, they either turned that around really, really quickly, like sign on the dotted line, we're recording tomorrow," or they saw how big it was going to be and they actually like got the guys signed like before the show even premiered. So do you know what the timeline was?
If I remember correctly, they did have a very fast timeline, but they recorded it before Heated Rivalry episodes dropped. So there was like a moment between, you know, we got the casting announcements, we got the trailer, and I think it was somewhere between that and when the show dropped that they recorded this audio erotica. And it's actually, so I love the Quinn app and I love the concept of it, but this project that they did is so different from the rest of the content on the app. So I'm curious to see how that translates because it's a lot more, it is more audio porn, which is like put yourself in the spot of the, you know, of the person speaking, whereas the one with the stars from the show is like a audiobook, more like an audiobook
apparently
format.
it's not self-insert, which is a
Yes.
lot of what Quinn's other content is self-insert. Like you do this, and I haven't listened to it yet. I think I'd like to subscribe once just to like support them and the creators that did it, like subscribe for a month. But I don't like audiobooks, and I've heard some of the clips, and I kind of get like secondhand cringe from listening to it.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to just hear what it is. So time will tell.
Okay.
Time will tell.
I've noticed it's been really interesting that like my husband listens to sports podcasts and like fantasy football podcasts, and then also like prestige TV and the rewatchables, and like if it's on the Ringerverse, he's tuned into it, and he sent me several that are like, we're talking about Heated Rivalry, and they don't know romance, they know prestige, they know sports. And so the conversations are more like, oh, look, Hudson just got a contract to be represented by this really big agency. And, oh, isn't this cute? And I'm like, not, you know, but they're thinking of it like, oh, isn't this story interesting? We don't see stories like this. And I'm like, exactly. We don't see stories like this. And I love to know and love to be able to have this like front row seat for this, where hopefully some of these industry decisions may change. We may see more of this and not just our niche romance podcast, you know?
Yeah, one of the things I really liked was how some of the more sports-minded content creators started analyzing the hockey, and we're like, dear sweet honey child, there's like no hockey in this.
No, we don't care.
But like the scene when, and we'll talk about this in when we talk about the episode, like when Shane gets hit, one of the guys was like, I'm sorry, he's looking behind him and smiling. He's not keeping his head up. He deserved that cross check. He would get suspended for a game for being a fucking idiot on the ice. And I was like, that's just really funny to me to like look at that. And then I saw a thread released today by the costume designer for the show talking about the jerseys, not necessarily what they look like butts and dicks on them, but the idea that like for all that there was not a lot of on ice hockey shown in the show, she's like, the amount of time we had to spend, like, what jerseys are we going to see? Are we going to see the home or the away versions? How many players are we going to see? So how many do we have to create? And they released, they created like 22 different jerseys for the show, because you had Metro's home away, Raiders home away, Admirals home away, East versus West in the All-Star game, North America versus Europe, like, and it was really cool just to see that. And you're like, oh yeah, there was barely no hockey in this hockey show, but there was still a lot of work for the jersey.
They were hockey players. There were hockey moments in the locker room. It doesn't always have to be on the ice for it to be related to hockey as a sport.
I love that. Okay, before we get into the episode-specific discussion, overall thoughts on the last two episodes of the season. So they are, episode 5 was I'll Believe in Anything, and episode 6 was The Cottage. Overall thoughts and impressions.
The Cottage is my favorite episode of the entire series. I loved every single moment of it. By the end of it, I was like, give me more. So I loved both episodes. I don't know. What do you think, Meg?
Love them. Love them. Nikki, you texted us after watching episode 5 did you wake up at midnight to watch it?
I was not going to watch it until Friday, but Thursday night, I've had such bad insomnia the last couple weeks. I've been falling asleep at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, and it got to be like 2 a.m. and I was like, I'm up. Like, I might as well
just do that. So you texted us at, I think, 3 or 4 in the morning, and we're like, holy shit, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I feel like that, I think you even said, like, this is one of the best independent shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into it with high hopes, and it hit those expectations, right? Because there was we won't go into content here, but there was so much packed into it, and the way that it built to that climactic moment and then guided you into the quiet sort of like denouement of the 6th episode, it was perfect arc through the whole season.
Yeah,
of the 5 episodes that mattered.
Yeah, there is I will not stand for the skip slander. No, I think there's a reason why the last 2 episodes of the series or of the season are 2 of the most highly rated television episodes of all time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything I could point out that is wrong or bad or whatever.
And they stayed very faithful to the original books.
Yes.
Which I think sometimes when people get an adaptation in their hands, they're like, how can I put my fingerprints on this? How can I make this feel bigger or more cinematic? Or how can I bring it to the TV in a different way? But Jacob Tierney really stayed both faithful and trusted the viewers to go with us. To say, we're going to spend an entire episode with literally 4 people in one location. And part of that was it's faithful to the books, and part of it was probably this was a really cheap show to make, all things considered. Expensive for Canada, but by most production standards, like, they had a very small budget. A lot of it probably had to go to the ice, and to spend an entire episode in one location was probably a really smart budgeting move too.
Yeah, I've seen everything from $100,000 an episode to kind of like double that, which again for a network show or a streaming show is quite small. Yeah. It's been really fascinating because again, I love film production, going into the rabbit holes of how they shot certain things and how they saved money. And we're going to talk about the beach scene in episode 5. That was not on a beach. That was on a soundstage with a big screen called The Volume, which is what they used in most of their shots to save money. So it's just like from a creative filmmaking standpoint, fucking fabulous. And then when we talk about the actual content of the show and how the actors did, like, I hope that Hudson and Connor have the best support network around them.
Yeah.
Because most of the social media I'm on are very supportive of them and been like, don't share their personal info. Leave them the fuck alone, because otherwise they're not going to be cool with giving us as much as they do. But apparently there's been some stuff over the weekend that was kind of getting like to the dark side of parasocial relationships. And I'm like, I pray that these guys have the most supportive family, the most supportive friends, like agents and publicists that will fucking go to bat for them.
The most ferocious publicists, lawyers, and PAs.
I want all of that for them.
I just want them wrapped in bubble wrap unless they're on a set somewhere or with their families. I don't want anybody to interfere with their personal lives.
No. Yeah, all the conversation too around their sexuality makes me so upset. It's like, why do you care?
Yeah.
And you're some people are getting really aggressive about it, and it makes no sense to me. And I hope that they have a lot of foundational protection.
Did you watch the show? Did you see that this is a problem for people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
did you miss the entire fucking point of the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting how that happened. Okay, let's talk about happy things. So let's start with episode 5, I'll Believe in Anything. Oh my God, this show, there's so much that happens in it. So just a real quick log line of what happens in this episode. The episode 4 ended with Rose and Shane going back and having sex, and Ilya alone in a shower having some like close up personal time with himself. So episode 5 opens with Shane and Rose in bed and her kind of leaving, and he's like, I'm so sorry, and we're like, oh, performance might have been an issue here. And then it goes into them meeting up for dinner where Shane comes out to Rose and they're like, we're just going to be really good friends. And then we go to the All-Star game in Tampa. and Shane and Ilya meet at the bar. Ilya in the most epic Hawaiian shirt of all time. And there's kind of like, just like some undercurrents in their conversation of, did you come with anyone? No. Guess what? Down to bone again. And then just like a really nice conversation of them coming back together in the hotel room. A couple weeks after that, Ilya gets the call that his dad has passed away. He goes to Russia, which gets us to a really fun FaceTime call with glasses. Very cute. There's the big Russian monologue over the phone call. And then a week after Ilya gets back from Russia, there's the Boston v Montreal game where Shane gets cross-checked and ends up in the hospital with a concussion and a broken collarbone. And then there's the big Scott and Kip coming out kiss moment at whatever the Stanley Cup is called in this show. So holy shit, that was a lot to fit into like a 47-minute episode.
They packed it in. The pacing on this was tight because you didn't feel like they were rushing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You felt like they were Russian.
Yeah.
But like even those moments, you just did that recap and I was like, holy crap, there's so much in here. But when we were listening to the conversation with Rose and Shane or, the monologue that Ilya's giving in Russian, it felt settled. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It felt slow and deep and gave you those moments to breathe. They didn't rush through it because they were like, oh, we have to go to production. We have to get all these things in. Even like the kiss at the end of the episode, they didn't rush through that moment either, which was really that landing of all of these pieces coming together. It didn't feel, nothing felt rushed. How did they do that?
No idea.
I thought the same thing with the Scott and Kip scene at the end. So much so that I like rewound it and watched it again because the pacing of that scene was just so beautifully done. Even though I knew what was coming, I was like very like anticipating and very excited to see that moment. And I thought to myself, like, I hope people are watching this and it happens in real life. Like I would just I would be so gagged if that happened in real life.
I was also thinking, like, if I were watching the Cup and I saw my team win, I'd be like, I don't need to watch their families come out. I'm done. I wouldn't. I don't think that the production would stay there. I think they would go back to the studio and they would have the talking.
Or they might have the newscasters up on the press ring of the arena and kind of doing the recap. But I bet you as soon as they saw something interesting was happening on the ice, like literally you've got the camera guy down there going, what? It was like real up close in their face.
Yeah. But even in that moment, I don't feel like they rushed through that either. It was like Scott was there and he watched the families come out and he paused. Yeah. And he looked around and he paused and you could see the thoughts going on in his head and they didn't rush that decision either. It felt earned without feeling impulsive.
Yes.
Especially because it took Kip. Kip was like, no, like, like he didn't rush down. He wasn't already in the first row. He had to climb over people, like taking the time to do that right was so important to building the tension of, oh my God, they're actually going to kiss.
Yeah. And even the kiss moment, it was like, it didn't happen immediately. He like pulled Kip out into the ice. They stared into each other's eyes. And I was like, this is everything I could possibly want in this moment. And it didn't feel, I feel like compared to the first 2 episodes of the season, it was a very strategic choice to have these 2 episodes feel like the pace slowed down. Yeah. I felt like we got to go on that emotional journey with our characters to imagine, Shane and Ilya texting each other going, what is happening? We felt that with them. And it was just such a beautiful thing to experience as a viewer.
Yeah. And Nikki, you said when we were recording the first podcast, you went through the timeline and you were like, well, they went through like 7 years in
the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. And now it was like, what, a month?
Yeah. And I remember that's something that we had talked about in the earlier episodes when I was kind of thinking, because I hadn't read the books at the time. I have read all the books now. Put that out there.
I cannot wait to hear. I know.
But there was... one of my hopes at that time was that as the story progressed, they were going to stay longer in each timeline so that we weren't like 6 months, 2 weeks, 6 months, whatever. And to your point, Meg, the last little bit is like, oh, this last bit is over the course of a month. This is over the course of 6 weeks. And you really got to spend a lot more time. And I remember when I was watching episode 5, and I had a feeling, just because it got spoiled for me on social, that the episode was going to end with the Scott and Kip coming out kiss. But when we were kind of getting to the end of the episode, I'm like, there's only 7 minutes left of this episode. And I thought it was going to feel very rushed. And to your point, it really didn't. Because the other thing I really appreciate of how they structured, especially these 2 episodes, is the production team and the writers, mostly Jacob Tierney, really kind of eschewed the common conventions of how episodes end. So episode 5 did not end with Shane getting hit and a fade to black. We don't know what's going to happen to him. It didn't end with something tragic happened. It didn't end with David walking in on Shane and Ilya and like, tune back in next episode or next season to see this resolution. So when those actually did get resolved on screen, it kind of threw me for a moment that I was like, it is a romance.
It is a romance. That's what I was just thinking, is it felt like each episode sort of had, aside from episode 4, where we had the big conflict in the nightclub, it felt like each episode sort of slowed down at the end and went, okay, let's take a minute to breathe here. Let's give the happy for now, the happy for now, the happy for now. Except Scott and Kip too. Okay, maybe that's not really true. But we have that bit of a resolution, these micro arcs in the overall season's major arc, without it feeling, like you said, where it's, romance readers hate cliffhangers.
Yeah. We don't like it.
We don't do maybe romantic suspense folks. They can handle it. But for the rest of us, if you give us a cliffhanger, you're getting 2 stars on Amazon.
I think it's because we just look at popular television. We associate cliffhangers with, holy fuck, something bad is going to happen. So when you are a romance reader, romance fan, being left there is like, no, I signed up for a romance.
Yeah.
Like, no, what is this shit? I don't want this much drama, except for Meg, who likes high angst. I'm like, this is too stressful for me.
But high angst works in romance because we know that there's going to be a happy ending, because we know that it's going to be resolved. And you can write high angst and you can read high angst because you know that they're going to come through it at the end of it. You're not going to be left hanging. And I think that that's key to the way that this works for viewers and for the entire arc is at no point did we feel like we were left hanging, except Scott and Kip going, Kip's like, I can't do this forever, right? It set it up in a really beautiful way. But each one of those resolved themselves in the moment. It didn't, like, to your point, it didn't end with Shane having a concussion, being carried out and fade to black. It ended with him being so hopped up on painkillers
Bye-bye.
that he could finally fucking say the things that had been in his mind for the last decade. Because sometimes people need a little medicinal push.
It's a little bit of an opioid. Just get you going. Yeah. So just to kind of put like a little bow on the Scott and Kip end of this episode, one of the things that's been pointed out is that in adjusting Scott and Kip's timeline for the show, they inadvertently created a 3-year gap in their relationship because they break up before the Olympics, and then the show picks up 2.5 or 3 years after the Olympics. So we don't know what was happening with Scott and Kip in between there. And the production crew has come out and said, yeah, we kind of fucked up with the timeline in that sense. We didn't really think about what would be happening in those intervening years. So that's one thing I wanted more of, because when the show ends and Scott is doing his like, oh my God, I'm alone, but I'm at the height of my career. Fuck. And he looks out and he sees Elena, Kip, and Kip's dad. And they have the moment. I was like, have they talked to each other in the past 2 years? I kind of want to know what have they been up to? Like, have they kind of been in touch? Because that doesn't exist in the book. So it's not necessarily a criticism. I just really wanted to see, because you can kind of see Kip's dad's face as Kip starts like locking eyes. He's kind of just looking at Kip going, oh. And I was like, I just love Kip's dad.
Yeah.
It was great. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of this episode, because we said in our last episode that we love Rose fucking Landry.
Yeah.
Rose did not come to play in this episode.
Woman,
great character.
Like, you know that she's had this conversation 20 times before, and she is the coolest bitch on the planet.
Yeah, because 80% of her boyfriends have left her for other men.
Brilliant line.
Hashtag theater kids.
Yes.
70%? No, 80%.
Yeah. No, I love her because, like, they go out to dinner. with Shane, and she's kind of, you can see her brain kind of going, how do I bring this up in a way that like does not make him feel bad or feel judged? And she's like, tries to be subtle. And she's like, did you even know Miles was gay? Are there out hockey players? And she's like, you know what? Okay, never mind. Shane is not picking up what I am putting down.
Shane does
I
not
feel like
pick
you
up
want to
these
kiss
social
Miles.
cues. No.
It was so well done too. The way that he holds himself, like when he's uncomfortable. You also saw this in episode 6 with his like coming out to his family. The shoulder raise, it he just looks so uncomfortable that you want to like give him a hug. These two actors did such a phenomenal job with this entire conversation, and like we need more Rose Landrys in the world.
I know.
Well, I'll say also like Hudson Williams played this so subtly.
King of the micro acting.
Just like the little micro nod, the little look away, and the editing of this scene where she says, have you ever been with a man before? And you just get a moment from episode 1, episode 2, sort of like the chronology of their relationship in his mind. And it's not just like the hard fucking. It's like the sweet little kiss in the stairwell. Is what he's thinking about in that moment. God.
It's so good. I mean, I love, to your point, Meg, like when Hudson kind of gives like the little head shake of like, is this the first time? He's like, no. And like he doesn't want to make it big because then he has to admit out loud and to himself that, he's into dudes. And later he decides that, I am gay. Yeah. But when Rose, like, I think it's not a problem. We're just like a square peg in a round hole. Oh. And when he comes back with, I think I prefer to be the hole rather than the peg. And they just laugh together. I was like, oh my God, Rose Landry for life. Yeah. I'm so happy that they continue to be besties, at least in the show. It's not as prevalent in the book, but like they're calling, they're texting. And even if the actress who plays Rose isn't visible on screen, it still shows up when like Shane's phone buzzes. He goes, oh, it's just Rose. Like, I love this so hard for him. And when they say goodbye outside the restaurant and she's like, you are surprisingly one of the funniest people I know. And he goes, well, that's not a secret you have to keep. And she's like, I'm going to tell everybody that you're hilarious. And I was like, yeah, Shane is funny when he's around people he's not scared of.
Yeah. He can be
and
himself.
I know that you need someone to talk to about things and stuff. And he's
things
like,
and stuff.
the things and stuff is really hard.
Oh, man.
No, but I feel like this was such a model for those of us who are trying to be allies and need to know how to navigate some of these conversations with people who are questioning, to say like, I'm a safe space. And, when Shane says, please don't tell Miles, please don't tell anyone, she's like, I would never. This is you and me, so she can bring someone else into the conversation to sort of introduce it. But then at the end of the day, it's his secret to tell. It's his secret to reveal. And she figured it out in maybe the most intimate way that you can figure out someone's sexuality. But she also was so respectful. And he's like, I feel like I owe you an explanation. She's like, you don't owe me an explanation. Like, you don't owe me anything. And she was just so perfectly written. And
she's like, this isn't
acted.
a problem, because a problem is something you have to fix. This is not a problem. And I love that because it comes back in the cottage episode when Ilya talks about, I have this problem with this freckled hockey player with a weak backhand. And it's like, it's not actually a problem. It's not actually a problem. This show is fucking fantastic with loops and callbacks.
Yes.
I have so many notes about the cottage. Yeah, like the echoes that come back, like the same conversation happening different ways multiple times. The musical cues coming back multiple times in different ways. Like, I love this show so fucking much. So Shane and Rose part as friends, and then we end up in Tampa for the All-Star game where Shane and Ilya get to play on the same team. One of my favorite moments is how this scene opens. Ilya's at the bar in his Hawaiian shirt, trying to go with the local flavor, drinking his Corona, and Shane walks in. And when they sit next to each other at the bar and gets a drink, and he goes, hey, teammate, like, how's it going? How are you? Throughout this entire thing, Hudson Williams, king of the micro expressions, he just kind of keeps looking over at Ilya, and you can tell he's so fucking happy to see him, because at the end of the previous episode, I brought up how many text messages had gone between the last time he had talked to Ilya. Maintenance guy, Tim from Reebok, all of his friends, all of his family, his teammates, etc. And then Lily was way, way back at the end, before the tuna melt scene. And he just looks so happy to see him because now he's had this conversation with Rose. And Shane takes a long time to make a decision, but when he makes a decision, he's pretty all into it, whereas Ilya is really quick to make decisions. So I feel by this point, and I really feel that you can see this on Hudson Williams' face, when he comes into the bar, he's like made a decision that like, I need to reconnect with Ilya. So even as he's sitting at the bar, he just has like this little smile on his face. He goes, hi. Hi. And I was like, I just love this scene so much.
And then all the different ways that Ilya is like trying to figure out if he's still dating Rose. Mm-hmm. And like just poking, like, so, did you bring someone with you?
Oh, I didn't bring my parents.
Did someone take you shopping? Wink, wink. Just like he doesn't want to ask until he finally is like, so is Rose Laundry here?
Yeah. He's like, no. And then he brings up the whole, we're just not compatible in that way. Again, he's got the smile on his face. He goes, by the way, I like dick. I'm just saying. This is the subtext that
I'm compatible
here.
with you and you alone, too.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's interesting. It's interesting. Again, look at kind of the subtext with the conversation with Rose trying to figure out how to ask Shane if he's gay or at least interested in men. And Ilya kind of doing the same thing, of trying to find out if he's still with Rose. And it takes Shane a minute to kind of pick up where this is going, but also they're in a public space, so he's not going to explicitly say, yes, I broke up with Rose because I am a gay man. He's like, we're just not compatible. And I love that calls back later when they're on the beach. And Ilya's like, I had to look up what compatible meant. I thought I knew. I just wanted to be sure. And I was like...
Now, has anyone been talking about like Rose versus Rosenoff? And those correlations? I haven't really seen anything about it.
No, because I feel like they're similar energies in the way that they care about Shane. They kind of care about him in similar ways. It would feel weird to put them as competition. To me,
no,
they're
just like
part of...
I meant more like the naming convention of Rose and Rosenoff, and how he's trying to get over Rosenoff with Rose, and she's just a shortened version of the larger Rosenoff character.
I don't think I went that deep into it.
No. I love a name.
This could be.
I know you do.
A thesis, though. I could see it.
Okay, let's spread it here. He's trying to replace his Rosenoff with Rose, and it's not enough.
No, a rose by any other name is a tall, studly Russian with an amazing ass.
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare and Hoggy Butts.
I love it, and what I love about that scene too is afterwards when Shane says to Ilya when they're in the hotel room, like, are you feeling this too? I feel like there's such a vulnerability in how, again, the micro expressions of him, like, to me, especially knowing the books, in my headcanon, Shane knows he's going to have this conversation with Ilya. And that's why he hires the stylist. That's why, like, the closure he has with Rose. Like, he knows this leading up. It's not a surprise that they're going to be on the same team. Like, this has been announced. So in my mind, he's, like, really building up to this conversation and, like, the internal angst of it all. But he has to say it. And you can, like, all of that you can see on Hudson's face as he's like, I'm not imagining this, right? And it's like, oh, this is so good. It's like,
I agree with you. Yeah. Like, Shane is way too, like, I don't want to say scared, but like uncertain. He planned out that entire conversation. Yeah. He would have made fucking index cards. Yeah. First, I will ask him to sit, and then I will go into the room and I will say this. Because again, he's made a decision now. And that's what I love, that immediately before they go to the bedroom, Shane is sitting on the beach and Ilya joins him. And at first, they're kind of sitting apart. Yeah. Because again, neither one of them have explicitly said, hey, man, we should fuck again. But they've had this kind of like undercurrent at the bar. And then Ilya's playing with the kids in the pool, which, oh my God, I love that scene so much. Like, Ilya with kids is great. And they're like, there's this weird like flirtation. But there's still like, we are not back on solid ground yet. Mm-hmm. So when they're sitting on the beach and Ilya's like, I had to look it up, what it meant, compatible. What is that? And then ever so slowly, their fingers get closer. And they're touching fingers again, just like they did in the very first episode when they were passing the water bottle back and forth. And Shane looks over at Ilya and says, what's your room number? And I feel like I would love to get Ilya's inner monologue at this point.
Because Shane is finally initiating. It's the first real time that Shane is chasing Ilya. Mm-hmm. And it's after the last time that they were truly together when Ilya gets rejected. Mm-hmm. When Shane I feel like Ilya was like performing to this is what it could be like to be together.
Yeah.
And then he got his heart just smashed. And so now he's completely closed off. He's like, we just get together and fuck. You know, like it's not there's no relationship in his mind anymore that he can put into the room. And so he really makes Shane work for every single, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. You know, like, no, not that.
Yeah, no, I also just love your Russian accent today, Meg.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for bringing the authenticity. Yeah, so when they go to the hotel room and Shane kind of immediately goes in and like sits and he's like, okay, this is a different energy than I was expecting.
Yeah.
We usually, when you come into a hotel room, I pretty much immediately pin you up against a wall and like trousers drop. This is a different vibe. I'm a little uncertain.
Because we're wearing shorts instead of pants.
And Shane has that line, Drea, like you were saying, it's not just me, right? You feel it too. And I was like, oh, they're having a conversation, y'all. They are having a conversation where they are being clear with each other. Such growth. Such growth.
They're being adults. And I wonder how much of that is like Shane finally had an adult conversation with Rose about this.
Yep.
And he needs someone else to, and, you know, Ilya says, why are you telling me this? And he's like, who else would I talk to about it? You know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like Shane has realized that this is something worth discussing because Rose has said, it's okay. This isn't a problem.
Yeah. And then Shane says, like, you know, it felt like last time we were something, if we could be, would you want to? And Ilya's like, but we can't. And Shane's like, not what I asked.
Yep.
If we could, would be. And then I love how Ilya brings up, I wouldn't be able to go home. This is not, I have a Russian passport. My dad is police. My brother is police. Like, I could never go home, which I love that he brings that up because then it comes back in episode 6 when he starts plotting. How do I not have only a Russian passport? Yeah. I love that brings up, and it also opens things up for Shane, I think, a little bit more as to why Ilya might be like a little tentative here. Because he knows, just based on what, I think it was Carter that said it in the Sochi Olympics episode, was like, oh, you gotta be brave to be gay in Russia because it's not. But Shane did not understand, I think, what that meant at the time.
No. And
now being back, I just love that thing.
I also love the setup that they're having this conversation where Shane is saying, if we could do this, would you want this? And Ilya obviously doesn't answer, but he says, here's what it would cost me.
Yep.
Here's what the cost would be. I would never get to go home again. And then he goes home and he's fucking miserable. And he's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be with these people. I just want to get out of here. And it almost is like the manacles are freeing him a little bit so that way he can move forward. Even if it's not with Shane, it can be starting to think, okay, how do I get out of the passport situation? How do I get different citizenship? You know, like how do I escape this identity of my own so that I can step into a new identity as an American, as a Canadian, as some sort of North American citizenship. Like, it's starting to happen there too, but it's so much more powerful to see him walk away from Russia if we know that part of the reason that he can't be with Shane is because of that passport.
Yep. And I think it's also setting the ground for, if season 2 follows the long game part of it, the concept of giving things up, especially on Ilya's side, is a huge story feature, I'll say, in the long game.
Yeah.
So I like that they are laying the groundwork for that and the importance of it. And I don't want to spoil too much for the long game because I know Meg hasn't read it, but I have read it now and I have so many fucking thoughts and feelings.
I will commit to being the one in the dark.
Yeah, Meg, I might have to have you leave the room and take out your headphones and not edit this section of the show. I will edit it because I need to talk to Dre about the long game. Yes. I got thoughts and feelings, y'all.
Love us.
I'm okay. I will go refill my coffee and take a little bio break when we get to that point, and then I'll just mark it up in the doc.
But they're definitely laying groundwork for future conflict or future effort that is going to have to come in future seasons. But with this scene, when they're in the hotel room, has one of my favorite scenes in the entire show. And it's when Ilya is talking about his dad and he says, yes, he has dementia and I can't be there. And he kind of because by now he's sitting next to Shane, he kind of looks away and Shane kind of is like, whoa, what's going on? And then he sits in his lap, kisses him, and just hugs him. And Ilya cries. And I was like, my sweet boys. Also, Connor, why are your biceps and shoulders so large? It looks so great. But this is such an emotional moment.
Yeah. It's like it's such a turning point for them in their relationship because it's like you mentioned early on how you liked that they were still just bros, right? And earlier in the season, we very much got that. Like, we're not talking about anything. We're just fucking. And now it's like they're actually having meaningful conversations and meaningful emotional moments together, which leads up to, Shane saying, come to the cottage with me, because he now feels like emotionally bonded, and he's allowed himself, I think, at this point to start to fall in love with Leah.
And in the previous episode, when they were together in Ilya's house, Shane started asking questions about his family, and Ilya just shut it down. And this time he let the questions happen. He showed what the consequences were for, this is a part of my life that I haven't let you into, and this is part of the reason that we can't be together, and this is the excuse I'm going to give you for why we can't be together, and I need you to understand this. And there's more being drawn out into not just, I don't want to talk about my family, but I don't want to talk about my family because they're an impediment to our future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I love they get the end. We're talking about loops, and we're talking about callbacks. When Shane leaves Ilya's hotel room in Tampa, he kind of looks over at Ilya, and Ilya's just lounging in the bed. Looks great. He's like, good night, Shane. And Shane responds, good night, Ilya, and walks out with a smile on his face. It's like, cool, we can say our names again. It's fine. And he's leaving, but he's not leaving out of panic.
Yep.
He's leaving because they have to go to a game. Which then brings us into...
It's a choice to say their names. It's not an impulsive moment decision that causes the panic. It's they're standing, they're calm, they're looking at each other. And there's like an agreement to, we have moved to a first name basis.
It kind of felt to me like Ilya was giving Shane a little bit of a test too. Because last time he said his name first, Shane had the panic attack and left, and they didn't talk for months. So I feel like they're kind of on board with each other again. But in my mind, like Ilya was just like, I got to test this out before I fully commit. Because if he does this to me again, I think I'm going to fucking lose it. So he's like, good night, Shane. And he turns and he's like, good night, Ilya. And I just feel like there was such a smile on Ilya's face. He goes, yes, I'm back in the game.
While he's still lounging across all the pillows.
Yeah.
So relaxed when you know that like something happens, he's springing up. All of it is fake. All of that calm is so completely fake.
I have a feeling like there was a really great fan art that I saw after the tuna melt scene, because I think I mentioned it to y'all. Shane leaves in Ilya's clothes because he wasn't intending to stay the night. So his clothes obviously got left behind at Ilya's place. So there's this beautiful fan art of Ilya sitting on the couch and Shane leaving, and kind of he slowly goes into the other room and he sees on a chair in his bedroom the neatly folded clothing that Shane was wearing when he arrived, and he just looks at it and he kind of kneels down beside and just goes, fuck. Oh, beautiful fan art. I can't remember who posted it. If I can find it again, I will post it in the show notes, because absolutely gorgeous. So if that was what happened after Shane left him after the tuna melt scene, I look at this scene in Tampa and I'm like, what was Ilya doing after Shane left? I feel like he was kind of like kicking his feet going, ah, Shane likes me. And I was like, I really hope that for Ilya.
Yeah. The way that like he jumped on the bed with Svetlana. He's like, he will not center me. I center him.
Yeah. No, I loved it so much. Okay. We move forward in time just a little bit. And they kind of hook up before another game. Ilya's brother is calling a lot. And he's like, I'm not going to pick that shit up. And then Boston and Montreal play. And after the game is over, Ilya does pick up the phone from his brother. And we cut to JJ in the Montreal dressing room saying, hey, guess what? Rosanov didn't go to Nashville. He didn't fly in at all. So Shane starts trying to get a hold of him. He's texting him, are you okay? He calls him, and then we get Ilya's voicemail of, this is Ilya Rose. I will not listen to your voicemail. And I was like, yes, we stand a king who doesn't listen to voicemail. And eventually he gets back in touch with him. And Shane's like, where are you? Are you okay? And he's like, I'm back home in Moscow. Yes, my dad is dead. And Shane has glasses on. And he's like, put glasses back on. Yeah. And I just, I love this, because all of their phone communication up until now has been the equivalent of, you up?
Yep.
And that's it. Yeah, it's been booty calls. It's been just like logistics of fucking, this is my room number. This is where I will be. This is the address. And Shane, this is the first time Shane calls him to try to get in touch with him to be like, what is going on? And then Ilya FaceTimes him or whatever. I don't remember what year we're in. Was FaceTime a thing in whatever year this was? They're on iPhones,
I think
but
so.
Yeah, Skype.
Essentially FaceTimes him back.
2018, I think. So
something like that. But it was just like, he's so nice, because at first he doesn't even want to talk about his dad. He goes, you wear glasses. And he goes, are you okay? I will be better when you put back on your glasses. He's like, okay, are you happy now? I'm happier.
Such a flirt.
He really is. But I like it because it's, again, Shane, again, has made a decision that we are doing this. So he's not letting Ilya deflect very much. He's like, no. How are you? What's going on?
I'll put back on the glasses if you answer my question.
Yeah.
I just love it so much. And then we get into Ilya's father's memorial. He gets into it with his brother and essentially kind of ends it with, fuck you. You guys can have my apartment. I will give my niece a trust. I don't ever want to speak to you again. And if you ever bother me again, I will use all of my power and fame to destroy you.
Yes.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. I'm out.
Yeah, basically. And I love that they added in these scenes that weren't in the book because it feels like we really got the payoff from that like moment of when they're arguing in Russian. That it, like, as a viewer, I was like, hell yeah, tell him more, tell him off, cut him off at the knees.
Also, you're a professional athlete. You can take him.
Yeah.
I know he's a police officer. You
But
probably
no, he's
don't
a
want to assault a
coke
police officer,
He's
but
fine.
like,
Yeah.
you're good.
And that's right after this, we get, again, I want Connor's Story to win all sorts of awards. Apparently he's not eligible for an Emmy Award because it's a fully Canadian production, but I don't know, a
Ew.
Juno Award, Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, I don't know the eligibility for those, but he calls Shane and is just like, can you talk? Because I need to talk. And he goes out in the stairwell. And again, Hayden in the background, go have fun.
Yeah.
Like, go do your thing. It's fine. And he's like, how are you? And he says, what does he say? He's like, okay, not good, probably bad. Like, okay, Ilya very slowly getting in touch with his emotions.
Yep.
And then Shane says, you just said English is hard for you. How about you just tell me what you're thinking and feeling in Russian? I won't
God, this is
understand
so
it,
devastating.
but maybe it will help you. This monologue is not in the book.
No, we don't get a translation in the book.
No.
Like we know we're in Shane's perspective in the book.
It's so good. The one thing you get from Ilya in the book is his worry afterwards. He's like, what if Shane recorded that and put it through a translation app? Like, what would happen? But oh my God, this monologue.
Connor's Story.
Beautifully
I want to give him
done.
all his fucking flowers. And it's so
Beautifully done.
good when you start thinking about the stuff he is saying. And again, loops and callbacks. One of the things he says is, I make sure the food is right.
Tuna melt.
What did he do with the tuna melts, man? He got it ready. The ginger ale was cold. He goes, I always make sure that like people are okay. I've been the one thinking about this. He's been the one paying for all of this. And it's just, and then it starts to build and build and build. And you're like, how angry he is, how frustrated he is, how taken advantage of that he feels. And then he's like, I have no one. Like, I have Svetlana. She is a friend. And I love her. And then I feel like the entire audience held its fucking breath. We're like, yes.
But
Not like I love you. And then he has the line, he goes, I'm so in love with you and I don't know what to do about it.
yes, and we're all kicking our feet like.
Literally 2:00 in the morning.
Yep.
Did I watch that scene 7 times in a row? Yeah, I did.
What's so funny is Andréa, you said we're kicking our feet, and I just let out this big groan.
Yeah, why? I was happy for him.
I was happy for him to say it, to recognize it to himself, but it still wasn't something that was going to move. You know, it was still in a different language. It was still like, I mean, the entire series, they've been speaking different languages to each other, or Shane isn't capable of understanding the nonverbal communication that Ilya's doing, or there's so much miscommunication happening. And even here, where he is saying the words, I love you and I don't know what to do about it. I love you and I don't know what to do about it. That's powerful in its own way, because it's like, I love you and I'm not willing to tell you, and I'm not willing to take action on it. And even if I could take action, I don't know what that action would be. And there's such a like, I'm like doing these hand motions with myself where it's like there's a lightness to being able to say it out loud, but also a heaviness to, and I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for someone who's as quick acting as Ilya is, to not know what to do about it, I find really fascinating as a character beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how that would feel very heavy for him too, especially literally at his dad's funeral, right? It's like all of these emotions are swirling around for him. And for someone who likes to keep it lighthearted and fun, this is a very different perspective we're seeing of Ilya, and it is heartbreaking in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice
also
to see
every
him
time
struggling with it.
I mean, maybe this is just me and my own processing, but I feel like anytime I go to a funeral, I start to think like, what am I doing with my life?
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's, going to be true for a lot of people. And you're either going to feel things like, I wish I had done more and I don't want to waste time. Or it could be, I do feel a sense of freedom. Because I know a lot of people who are caregivers for disabled children, elderly parents, and it's a lot. And they would never say, I wish that this person wasn't here so that I wouldn't want to do this, because it is their loved one and they'll do it. But they probably do feel a real sense of relief when they no longer have that caregiving. I'm going to call it a burden, because it is in many ways, as much as they may be happy to do it. So he'll feel bad that his dad has died. And like he says to Shane, I might not be sad or mad about the right thing. I think I'm upset that he'll never know me. But at the same time, he's like, I don't have to talk to my brother ever again. I don't have to continue paying for this. I don't have to worry that every time my father gets a hold of a phone and calls me, it's because Alexei and Paulina have left him alone. And now I have to come up with a solution for that. So I do think there is a relief in not having to be in any type of a caregiver role. Because, Meg, you brought this up last time, that Ilias was going home to Russia in every off season because he had to. So he didn't have as many friends, and Ilya's lack of friends really shows up in the later books of the series, and his lack of support network. So in many ways, this is also, he can now have friends because he can now stay in North America during the off season and be able to socialize with people. So again, I think that is part of it too, but feeling guilty about being happy that this burden in his life is no longer there, I think is a really strong undercurrent throughout this entire monologue.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good.
So good. So good. I was like, I would really love to be able to say something very constructive. And it was like, it's so good. Okay. So now we're getting into kind of the secondary climax of this episode, which is when Shane gets hit. And this is the moment I dread in every single sports romance, is the injury. Yeah. Something is going to happen. I laugh that's happened in the first 30 seconds of the game. Because when you see, like, when the sportscasters are talking about it, you see the first period timer. It's 17 seconds into the game that Shane gets hit, which is kind of funny. But he gets hit, and this moment of transitioning into the hospital when Shane is extremely doped up, but even on his way out the tunnel, he's like, somebody tell him I'm okay. And you have Ilya kind of going to the referee, like, is he okay? Tell me he's okay. And the referee's like, get back to your bench, like, go away. And he's like, I just need to know. And the medic or the athletic trainer who's with him is like, just keep your eyes open. Who do you want me to tell? Your dad? It's coming. And he's like, no, it's Ilya. And I was like, aw, sweet baby just wants a hug from his Russian lover.
Yes.
Oh my God. And then Ilya shows up in the hospital. And he goes,
and we get Loopy Shane.
We get Loopy Shane. Okay, so now that I've read the book, this is a moment that I want to bring up. In the book, it is made clear that when Ilya goes to the hospital to see Shane, he wants to break up with him. Because he has decided that he's going to, like, we should not be together anymore. And this is just kind of evidence that it's not going to work out. I don't get that at all in the show, because the previous scene in the show was him doing a love confession in Russian on the phone. Mm-hmm. So did either of you guys pick that up?
No.
Because like in the book, it's like, oh no, Ilya was going to break up with Shane when he got injured.
In the book, every time they get together, one of them is going to break up with the other one.
They think it all the time.
Every single scene that they have together, one of them's walking into it and going, we're totally not going to fuck this time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This time I'll be strong enough to break up with him. Every single time they get together in the book, but you can't put that in the movie. It feels like a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that especially in that moment, I think every time that they get together, they're so afraid of how strong they feel that the solution is just run. Just get out. But if you put that into, especially episode 5, people would revolt.
Yeah.
Revolt.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you could read into it because Ilya barely gets a word out in that scene. It's just Shane being loopy happy and like, oh my God, you're here.
You should come
I
to the
love you,
cottage.
man.
You'd love it.
I've been
I
meaning
like
to
that they
ask
did
you.
that in the show because it wouldn't have made sense, I think, to have him want to break up because he had literally just said, I love you and I don't know what to do about it. And goes, oh, you're hurt. We shouldn't date. What? So I'm very happy that they did not go that route. So I was a little surprised when I started seeing it on social and when I read the book, they're like, oh no, he was there to dump him before he got invited to the cottage. And I was like, oh.
Totally forgot about that.
I don't love that. So I'm happy they did not do that. But I love when Shane, in his loopiness, is like, hi. And he was like, shh, comes over and like holds his hand, like strokes his face. And he goes, I was so worried about you. And I was like, oh, Ilya's a little soft boy.
Yeah,
And
he
it's
is.
nice
100%.
because Shane's not going to remember any of this because he's so high.
Yeah. I was wondering that too, because it's been a couple of months since I read Heated Rivalry, probably like almost a year at this point. When Ilya later says, I'm coming to the cottage, does Shane remember inviting him? Like, he's loopy, but is he like totally, like, how out of it is he?
He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, like,
okay, sure, I guess.
sure.
What? How did you know I have a cottage? No, I don't remember.
The
if
one
they
you saw on
mentioned it.
ESPN. You're inviting
I want
yourself.
to go
Great.
there. I'm inviting myself.
Which I also saw a lot of conversations from people on social, like, these are Canadian cottages? Like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
one,
funny.
yes, and two, he's really rich.
Yeah,
it's like a
hockey
rich
player
person
endorsement
cottage.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, I want it so much. Shane invites Ilya. Would you like to come to the cottage with me? And we're like, he's so cute. And he's like, maybe. And he's like, we could have fun. We could go for a week or 2. It's just us. It's super private, and it would be so fun. And he's like,
So cute.
maybe. And then the nurse walks in, and you hear Shane go, uh-oh. Because the nurse is coming in, probably to poke and prod him and do things. And Ilya's like, okay, yep, I'm going to leave now. Get well soon, Hollander. I'll see you next season. And he's like, yeah, thank you so much. Professional in front of people. And then he leaves. And then we get the Scott and Kip big kiss moment with both of them watching the game from their respective households and texting, kind of going, oh, yeah, oh, look, Scott Hunter won. Oh, he is 10,000 years old. I really don't like him. And what is happening? What is going on? Oh, my God. And then the call, I'm coming to the cottage.
I have to say, too, the musicality of that entire thing was so well done. Like, the tension of, like, what is happening. And then the, like, beats, bum, 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 I'm coming to the cottage. Like, I'm like, I want this, like, remix as, like, do we do ringtones anymore? I need it.
Yeah. And again, callbacks and loops. Elena saying to Scott, he deserves sunshine, and so do you. And the song lyrics being talking about sunshine. It's back again.
And to have the episode title be a lyric from the song.
Yeah.
To have the episode title be a line that is shown on the screen, not when Scott and Kip are kissing, but when Ilya and Shane are watching.
Yes.
I'll
It's
believe in anything.
every single moment of these 2 episodes freaking blew my mind because every single detail was so well thought out that I was just happy to be there and enjoy the ride, but I know they put so much thought into all these little details. Thank you, Jacob Tierney and co. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
the cinematographer and the music director and everything was so well coordinated and choreographed.
I'm really happy. It's been kind of going around that they're really trying to get Carly Rae Jepsen to do an original song for season 2 because they're like, you need Canadian Queen Carly Rae Jepsen to do music for this show. And I was like, yeah, that would be really fun to do that. All right, well, that ends episode 5. And then we move on to the cottage.
Wait, before we do, any final thoughts on episode 5? Where were you emotionally at the end of episode 5? Drea, I just saw your face light up. I feel like you have a lot to say about episode 5.
No, I was like literally the cottage is the pinnacle to me of what this book series is. And I knew as soon as they released that this was happening, my brain went, I want to see the cottage, right? And so for like, even I have a tattoo planned based off of the stupid Canadian wolf bird. Like, this to me is like fandom. Like, I feel high. Like, I'm like, give me more. So I loved it.
You know, I was dreading the cottage.
What?
Because I went in the way that Nikki said, I dread the moment in sports romance where somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I want to see them together. I want to see the intimacy. I want to see the I love you. I want to see the sweetness. But the moment where I knew that his dad was going to be there. And Andrea, you know, I'm not a big rereader, and I reread for this podcast. And the whole I had to keep putting the book down because I was like, I know the dad's coming. I know that I didn't care about the collarbone. What the fuck ever. I don't care. He's going to be fine. They don't kill people off in romance novels. But the moment of being forced outed to your family when you're not ready for it.
Oh no.
Okay, we'll talk about this forced outing or unexpected outing.
Long game then.
Oh my god, I have so many strong feelings about the long game. Like, actually, I'm furious.
But yes, I think that was. I was looking forward to the cottage for the intimacy, but not for the fallout.
Yeah. See, I feel differently because I knew the parents' reaction was still going to be good.
Yeah.
I couldn't reread it if it was going to be bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think Rachel Reed made a really good choice on having Shane's parents be so supportive, especially with Ilya's not being, or, you know, and he not having that support system. And so it, like, on a reread for me, I would still feel the, like, anxiety of the moment coming, but I know what's coming after that. So I can, like, push past it.
Yeah, I was still anxious the entire time. Like, I knew the book had to end on at least a happy for now. So again, I knew it was coming, and I knew you guys had already been talking about how supportive his parents were, and I was like, this has to be good. But I was like, again, typically when athletes get outed in sports romance, it's usually when they're caught in flagrante delicto, and I was like, oh my god, like, what is dad gonna walk into here, and how bad is that going to be? There was no nudity when this happened. So
even though the moment happened, it wasn't even like his dad seeing him. It was Hudson's reaction. It was Shane. Even though I knew it was going to be fine, the way that Hudson acted that just tore me the fuck apart of how much he was just freaking out. And Ilya's like, do you want me to go with you? You know, like, what can you do in that moment where your entire identity is being unraveled and you think you might be fucking up your family? And, like, his anxiety was so palpable. Oh, God, it sends chills down my spine now.
Did such a good job. Such good acting.
So
yeah, I gotta, like, what is Hudson Williams doing that he can make his eyes water but no tears fall? Like, what is that school of acting? Because that shows up a lot in this episode. And in my mind, I almost see episode 5 and 6 as one episode. Yeah. Because to me, like, they're so linked, and I rewatched them together probably a dozen times because I was just like, I love the flow of it. But episode 6, we open with Scott giving his thank you speech where he won, I think, MVP at the MLH Awards, and he thanks Kip and talks about why he thought it was important to come out. And then you get Shane picking up Ilya at the airport to go to the cottage. And there's a lot of great moments in this episode, but for the purposes of just a high-level log line, they're like, neither one of us have been with anyone in a while. We're just going to sit and do domestic things. We have the stupid Canadian wolf bird. And then Ilya starts talking about, how can I get past this passport issue? Maybe I'll marry Svetlana. Shane is not here for that. And then Shane comes up with a plan for how Ilya can not only get citizenship, but how they can be together in the interim until they decide to retire and come out. There is the I love you scenes. There's a really fun random blowjob call with Hayden. I always want to know what does he think on the other side, because I was listening to that going, how does he not know? But Hayden, I feel, is an oblivious king.
He's
so
oblivious,
he might just not have gotten it.
And, like, he has 4 small children.
Kids. Yeah.
Kids running
They're
around,
all yelling.
probably yelling at Ruby as he's listening to It's fine. And they come up with a plan. They say, I love you. They talk about, now Ilya talks about his mother and how she would have loved him. And then David catches them and drives away. And Shane has his panic attack. And Ilya's like, They will be fine with it. I will go with you. Let's go. They go
and then
over
he comes
to
out in the Boston Raiders shirt and he's like, oh, did they not know I play for Boston?
They know I play for Boston. Like, what are we trying to do? We're not hiding anything here.
Yep.
Shane, love of my life. This is not going to be changing anytime soon. They go over. We are lovers. Please don't use that word.
Yes, please don't.
They tell his parents that they've been together since rookie season. No, summer before. Okay, you need to stop talking, Ilya. I've only been in love with one person, Shane and
You've been in love
Yuna.
with him the whole time? No, not in love.
No.
Oh,
David also oblivious king. What do you mean?
Yeah, he's like,
do you
I don't
mean?
understand. Please
I
explain.
don't understand. And Yuna's like, lovers. And she's like, people stop using that word. Don't.
All of that scene was perfection.
Yeah. And then they have a
So
nice
good.
family moment. And then Yuna and David send them back to Shane's cottage saying, we'll come over later with food. I'll stop and get beer. I'll bring salad things. And they're like, please text.
Please text.
And then they drive off into the sunset. And it ends. And that's the end of the episode.
And the
end
credits
of
roll for
season
the
one.
entire time that they're just talking and touching each other
And
in the
hugging.
sweetest way.
Yeah.
And they're going off into the sun. And they're holding hands.
And when they filmed this, they didn't know if there was going to be a season 2. So this could have been it.
I don't want to think about that timeline. No, thank you. I'm very glad we get a season 2.
We get a
Yeah.
happy for now, which is good that they
have a plan.
They show what the plan is. But I also love that they didn't go into initiating the plan. They just stay at the cottage for the whole episode.
Yeah. That's what I liked, that they had this space. And again, because they had kind of emotional catharsis in the previous episode, now when Shane says to him, hey, how about this? How about for the 2 weeks that we're here, we kind of just tell each other what we're thinking and feeling.
be
And then
honest.
they actually do.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely. And again, callbacks and loops when they're like, when Shane's like, here's the room. And he's like, I need a king size bed. I need ensuite. I'm so sorry, sir. This room is not accessible to guests. And then he kind of tackles him and like, oh no, the bellboy. Like this moment of fun and levity that they don't have to be worried that Scott Hunter's in the hotel room next door, or we need to be sneaking around. And I no longer have to pretend like I'm not really here.
And when Shane goes to close the windows and Ilya goes and opens the windows.
Opens them. It's, if you wanted to take the metaphor really literally, it's he's keeping them in the light because they're in the light now. And somebody made a comment. They did a super cut of kind of all the times throughout the entire show that they have hooked up, and how in the first 2 episodes it's all in the dark. It's
And
dark
if you're watching
hotel
on
room.
HBO, you
It's
can't see it
shadowy
at all.
hallway.
It's basically just
Or it's
silent.
HBO. But in the good lighting, as their relationship progresses, things start happening more and more in the light. And then somebody really took that metaphor, and when they're driving off into the sunset at the end, they also don't have sunglasses on in that scene. And they're like, it's open and all these things. Whether that was deliberate or not, but again, the loops and the callbacks are so good at the cottage because things are being resolved as they come up. We're not hiding. I am just telling you I want to kiss you. I am telling you that I haven't been with anyone else. I'm telling you about my mother and the fact that she killed herself and I'm the one who found her when I was like 12. I'm telling you that my dad was an asshole and all the things that I'm worried about.
I'm telling you that I'll marry Svetlana to make you jealous.
Yep. Oh, and Shane got so. This is like Hudson, like the way he like. Again, he looked like he was about to cry in this scene. Like he was so upset, but like also trying to logic his way through it when really he just didn't want it to happen was so well done. I love it.
Because he just kept asking questions. Oh, yeah, you could marry her. Wouldn't you rather just... You like women. Wouldn't you rather just find a woman you could actually marry? And the back of his head is going, oh no, I don't want this. And then I like how Ilya does pick up on the fact that Shane is like more and more rigid and like uncomfortable. And he's got that eyes sheen going. And he's like, but I have a problem in that I'm always thinking of this slow fucking hockey player with beautiful freckles and a weak backhand. And I always want those women to be him. And then you kind of just see, it's not super, super obvious, but... King of the micro. You kind of just see his shoulders drop a little bit, and he's like, okay, I don't have to worry that he's going to just go find a woman to marry and get a passport.
This is why
And then
I
he
love
does say, don't marry Svetlana.
Yeah.
Like, we'll find another solution. This is not the only solution. He doesn't say we'll figure it out there, but you know that he's thinking the whole time, like, how can I get him what he needs?
Yeah. And I think they did this so well in the show because in the book, we get to see Shane's thoughts and we get to see how indecisive he is. And we get to see Ilya seeing through that. Like Ilya reads Shane from the beginning, right? In what he wants and what he needs. And so this scene was so beautifully done with that because Ilya picks up on Shane's discomfort immediately and comforts him in a very Ilya way. But then we also get to see Shane overthinking because the next scene is Shane waking up in the middle of the night, literally turning on the light and waking up Ilya. And so this just shows us at the viewer, like, he's still thinking about this when we can't see his thoughts, right? And it's just so well done because that's one of the challenges with, like, the adaptation to film is that we can't see their thoughts. And they made decisions for us to be able to see that, which is just, I love it so much.
And then to have Ilya be like, it's in the middle of the night. I can't understand English. Slow down.
What is narrative?
Narrative.
No, I love it. And this, I think, is, again, probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire show is Shane and his hyper-focused brain is like, I didn't like your solution. Guess what? I came up with them. You're going to go here. This is what they can pay you. We're going to do a charity. This is how we're going to roll it out. On and on and on and on and on. And Ilya kind of asked him, like, are you really thinking that far out? And is this what you actually want? And for Shane, again, who has not been very communicative in how he's been feeling, for him to say, yes, I think this long term about this, and yes, I want to be together so much that it scares me, that this is where Connor really gets to shine in his micro expressions. He just kind of turns his head to the side and it's just like, you see his face fall in like a happy way.
Yeah.
And then
Like
he starts
a
crying.
relieved happiness.
Yeah. And then, Meg, to your point, in the previous episode, we're doing like the monologue and he's saying it all in Russian. When he starts kissing Shane, he's saying, I love you in Russian over and over and over again. And then he translates it to English. And then Shane has the best reaction. Holy shit. And then you can kind of see Ilya kind of take a moment. He goes, I mean, almost trying to backpedal immediately. But then Shane's like, nope, I love you too. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, everybody just takes a breath, including me. I was like, oh my God.
So do you guys think who fell first?
Ilya.
When did Shane know
that he was in love with Ilya?
He was in love with Ilya.
When did
in the show
know?
canon?
In the show canon.
I think it was prior to the tuna melt scene. Because for me, yeah.
Like, I saw an interview that Hudson Williams did where he said that he played it like he fell in love at the exact moment that they met.
Yeah, I did see that. That's how they played it.
But when does he realize that he knew it? Is a different question than
I think maybe that's for me. I think he realized it at the tuna melt scene when he was like, this is like, I like being here with him and I like being taken care of by him, so that the panic attack is directly related to his realization that so that's what I think when he realizes it. When he actually did, I kind of like how Hudson Williams said that he played it as if he had like love at first sight with Ilya, but I don't think he recognized it until the tuna melt scene personally.
Andrea, what about you? When do you think Shane fell?
I actually don't. I think Shane is so type A about everything that I don't know if he actually admitted it to himself until he gets injured. In my mind, I don't think he would have ever allowed himself to think those thoughts until he was like, he's hurt. I gotta tell Ilya. To me, that is where Shane was like, oh, I perhaps have fallen in love. In my mind, I don't, because he's so like, even especially in the long game, he's so like, I did it. We have to do it this way. It has to happen this way. We cannot deviate from the plan. And I feel like he's like forces himself to think that way. Whereas Ilya is like, oh, fuck, I love him. Okay, well, we'll just keep going. And
I don't know
feel
what
like
to do
Ilya
about it.
accepted. Yeah, I feel like Ilya, in my headcanon at least, accepted it a lot sooner. But I love the idea of like it's love at first sight. I buy that.
I think
at least insta lust.
For me, it was between when Rose talks to him. I think he's trying really hard to deny it to himself, and that's one of the reasons that he tries with Rose. And then the All-Star game. I think he knows by the All-Star game, and that's why he goes to his hotel room. and why he tries to have the difficult conversation.
Yeah, I like that you brought up like the injury bit, because one of the things that kind of happens in the injury bit is Shane wanting someone to tell Ilya, and then Ilya, when he shows up at the hospital, being, I was really worried, because Ilya has no like entry point to finding out how he's doing. He's not publicly out as a friend. They're not together. They're not married. Like, he has no like legal whatever right to find out what's happening. Setting up a loop for the long game, which is, I'm not going to spoil it, but something happens in the long game that if things had happened, then Shane would have been the one not finding something out, because their relationship isn't public or like ratified, I guess I'll say. So again, we're setting up a loop here.
Like the Constitution. Yes.
Yes, we're ratifying the Constitution. I was going to say, thou shalt tell Ilya. That's not the Constitution. That's a
Those are commandments. Yes.
There you go. Whatever. Thou shalt tell Ilya things. But yes, again, we're laying pipe for future things in that coming back. But I just want to talk really quickly about the I love you scene. Mm-hmm. This is always my favorite part in romance stories, because I'm a big fan of like yearning and slow burn.
Yes.
So when they finally get to verbalize it, and then Shane is like, how do you say it in Russian? Is ya tipa dubdu. I was like, because again, Ilya's thing throughout the entire show is you can really see, especially since they filmed this out of order, how Connor is able to determine what accent he should be using at different points in the show. Because when we first meet Ilya in episode 1, his Russian accent is a lot stronger. His grammatical structure is different. He's not using articles as much. And then as the show progresses, his accent gets a lot cleaner. He's more confident in his English use, especially compared to like the press conference when he doesn't understand the questions being asked and Shane kind of jumps in and helps him answer the question. You see that transition. But even then, he's still saying, English is hard. I'm tired. I'm emotional. So when he is able, in probably one of the most emotionally honest moments of this show, he is able to say something in English that felt extremely satisfying. And then for Shane to reply, how do I say it in Russian? Like, what a smart fucking decision to make in that moment. Not only from a character standpoint of Shane being like, I need to say this in Russian to him. It's almost like when you have people who speak multiple languages, and it's like, okay, random reference, Kill Bill Volume 1. Lucy Liu as Oren Ishii when she's giving her big speech to the Yakuza. Because she's half. She's like, I think, Chinese American in that, even though she's like leading the Yakuza. And she has this big speech of, I'm going to say this in English so that all of you fuckers understand. I love it when people use a native language to very clearly express how they are feeling, so that the fact that in this scene they switch languages, Russian and English, to express something extremely emotional that we've been building to. I keep using the word satisfying. I gotta come up with like, what's another word for satisfying? Like,
gratifying.
It met my needs. Yes. I don't know, spiritually, physically, mentally.
Yes. We feel.
And I think also we often they don't have it in this circumstance, but I think also when you have multilingual characters in romance novels, you often have like the pet name that nobody ever just goes to Google Translate and says, what does this word mean? Oh, blossom? You know, like it's just, it gets dropped in and they just have it run until finally the moment of the reveal. I want to ask you guys, do you think when Ilya says I love you in Russian, does Shane recognize that it's the same thing that he said on the phone call?
I don't think so.
No. I don't think so either.
No. I don't think so too. And especially because, sorry, a tiny little spoiler for the long game is that Shane does start learning Russian.
Yeah.
And so it's not like a huge yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why did he wait 15 fucking years?
Because I feel like
it only takes a week if you're Connor's story.
Yeah, perfect. No accent.
He can learn it in time for production to start. Come on. You can't just learn Russian in a month. Good God.
But I think it's symbolism of their relationship, right? It's like it was purely physical, it was purely convenient, and now they're going to try to do things that are really, really freaking inconvenient for each other, right? And so like up until this point, Shane is not including Ilya in his life at all. He's not they're not in the same world. They just happen to see each other occasionally and they text. Now him saying, how do I say it in Russian, is him including Ilya in his life and starting to say, we're speaking the same language. Literally, we're speaking the same language. We're on the same team. We're doing this together. And it's just so beautiful. So beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love when they are at Una and David's house and they're having a conversation, and it's since our rookie season, no, the summer before, don't ever use the word lovers again, please. Shane has another little freak out moment. I love how he played this because he kind of just puts his head down and then they all kind of notice him and he's like, I'm okay. I'm freaking out a little bit. I just need a second and then I will be fine. And Ilya kind of leans over and starts like rubbing his back. He goes, it's okay. We're okay here.
Yeah.
You know, your family is here. Your boyfriend is here. We're all good. So you're fine. And he kind of raises his head and goes, boyfriend?
I love that.
Boyfriend? He goes, yeah, I think so. Probably.
Yeah.
And then it just goes over to Una and David going, since rookie year, summer before. And I'm just like, oh, it's so good.
They're so good.
But I love it. Again, we always talk about can these people just have a fucking adult conversation? So in these 2 episodes, they've said, I love you. They've called each other boyfriends. They've said they have not slept with anybody else since the last time they were together. They talked about how they're going to have a plan so that they can be together long term. This really shows how they have progressed from like age 18 at the beginning of the show to I think it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he says, I think it's been about 10 years in the storyline to the cottage. So they're in their mid to late 20s now.
And I also love that moment with his parents at the table where Ilya is the one who comforts Shane, who talks Shane through the panic. I think, the parents probably had this like, Shane's not really a prankster. He's not going to like pull their legs or anything, but I think that's the moment where they go, oh, like they actually do. This isn't just like physical. This isn't just them talking around something. Like they actually care about each other. They can see it, not just hear them say it and hear them explain it. And also that moment of, David saying to Ilya, but you're a ladies' man. He's like, yeah, I've slept with lots of women, but I've only loved one person. God, that line.
So good. The other thing I love about this scene is when Shane and Una are outside having their talk, and it's such a moment when Shane says to his mom, like, I need you to know I really tried. Essentially, I really tried not to be gay. Yeah, and she's like, oh, no. Again, a problem is something you need to fix. This is not a problem, coming back from the conversation with Rose. And she's like, I feel so bad that you didn't feel like you could tell me this. And they're having this beautifully emotional conversation. And you come back inside and Ilya is just shoving his face with chicken parmesan and spaghetti. And he does this little happy dance at one point when he's eating his pasta. He just goes, and he just keeps eating. It's so cute.
Well, he's finally sitting at a family table where he can enjoy the meal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so there's a bunch of fanfics that have been written about David and Ilya in the kitchen making this chicken parmesan and spaghetti while they're outside having the conversation. And they're like, we're just making dinner together. Like, what an awkward conversation that must have been as they're trying to like feel each other out. Yeah. And later, I guess minor spoiler for the long game, but you kind of assume this is going to happen. Like, David and Ilya and Una have a fabulous relationship later. They call him their son. Like, it's so nice to kind of see again. This is how it starts. Like, but apparently, so most time when you're filming TV and film, when it comes to food, continuity is a really big thing.
Right.
So you're not really eating or drinking. Because then when you reset the take or you change the camera angle to the next setup, the food and drink has to look the same. It's really challenging. That's why in like a lot of reality shows like Love Island or whatever, the cast is always drinking out of opaque glassware so that they never have to worry about the level of the beverage in the glass. Yep. So normally you don't eat. You're just kind of like moving things around on the plate and kind of doing this. And like,
I'm sorry. I just have to point out that the example of what you think of as the definitive, this is how they do things, is Love Island.
I was thinking of Love is Blind because like season 1, they didn't have the opaque and then they switched it because fans were noticing the inconsistencies.
Yeah. But they did, Jacob Taylor did reveal that Connor brought up in this scene. He goes, I always hate it in film when people aren't eating because it looks dumb. So he actually ate like 6 or 7 bowls of spaghetti to film this scene. And the same thing happened in Set It Up, which we did an episode on. Zoe Deutsch, when in the pizza scene, she ate all the pizza. And normally you have a spit bucket.
Yeah.
No, she ate all of it and she was so ill.
Oh my God.
That's funny. I love that.
Okay.
The sacrifices we make for our craft.
True. He's like, I just have to eat all this spaghetti. So that kind of ends the 2 episodes there, driving off into the sunset. Again, I think there is a world where we read too much into things, but everybody's pointing out, oh, the scene when they're driving off into the sunset, their 2 bodies make a heart. And I was like, I think we're probably going a little bit too far with this. But they're holding hands, they're smiling at each other, and like, what a beautiful way to end season 1.
Okay, so
I also love that this 2-episode series starts with Rose accepting Shane and ends with his mother accepting him. Sort of like the 2 most important women in his life.
Bookmarks and loops.
There's nothing wrong with you. I saw this in you. And his mom's thing, we sort of thought, we just never brought it up to you. I'm like, why not? What? I know it was a decade ago. I know things are different. But like, as somebody raising 2 boys, we talk about who you can fall in love with all the time, and maybe they just didn't have that conversation. They didn't have that language. I don't know, but it just, like, the fact that he got accepted by both of these 2 important women in his life, and that, you know, Yuna is gonna sort of take on Ilya and be that maternal figure for him is just fucking gorgeous. Just the mirrors of those 2 women. I loved that piece of it.
It's so beautiful to see, and I always love to see supportive female characters in especially stories, because it's still so important, right? Like, I hate like the villain women, and so I think that is just such a beautiful, it's just so beautifully done. One of the questions I had for both of you is, now that we're here at the end of this series, and now that you've both read Heated Rivalry, is there anything, because think of one thing from the cottage, is there anything missing that you were like, oh, I wish they put this in the series and it was only in the book?
I'll let Nikki answer first because you read it more recently.
I don't think so, because when we were kind of texting back and forth in our group chat, which for listeners, our group chat was called Monster Peen, because that's what we started talking about, was like monster romance. But Meg just renamed it to Hockey Butts and Monster Peen. So
Hockey glutes.
Thank you. Hockey glutes. We're being very scientific and proper with our anatomy. But I was kind of doing like my ranking of the 6 books now that I've read them all. And Heated Rivalry was number 1 for me only because of the show. If I had not seen the show, Heated Rivalry probably would have been, I'd say, 3rd or 4th for me in my overall rankings. Because the thing I love is you can see where the show pulled dialogue wholesale from the book, but I feel like there was so much more nuance in the show that made it more enjoyable for me. So I am really happy that I got to see the adaptation before I read the book, because I think the show is better for me, at least. The one thing I'll say that I feel like the book did really well was their ages and seeing how it progressed. You know, the show did its best to show them. They did appear younger in episode 1 and 2. They do look older in episode 6, but we kind of brought up in the first 2 episodes, at least, I was getting really confused by the timeline. Yeah. How long has it been? I had to write down the timeline to kind of see where in time and space we were. But I think the book did a really good job about making their ages much more prevalent, because they are 18, 19, 20 in the first part of the book. And it helped understand the tone of their conversations earlier on in the series, that wasn't quite as obvious in the show, obviously, because the actors are not growing 4 to 5 years over the course of the show. So I don't think there's anything missing. I do really appreciate how the book made their age progression just as obvious as their emotional progression, because it was a good reminder, especially in the beginning, these kids are 18 fucking years old when they get drafted. They're 18. They're going to do dumb shit. Their hormones are still doing things. They're going through secondary puberty. Men are still fucking stupid at age 18 to 20.
They're not,
so I can give them a little bit more grace.
Developed.
No. I will not write a book with main characters under 25 for most of it, because their prefrontal cortexes are just sponges. Like, they're not really fully developed at that point.
Yeah. And I think, like, I cannot think of a single book to film adaptation that's as accurate as this. Yes. Like, I can't think of one. This was so well done that every single other one, I feel like I get a lot of, like, the fans like, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that. With this one, I'm like, I have no notes. Like, my notes are so minor. Like, oh, I wish Ilya's bear tattoo was in there. And it's like, but that didn't really change anything. Or even at the cottage, Shane has...
Go ahead.
At the cottage, Shane has built that he has like the fake ice and they like play hockey together in the book. We didn't see that in the show. And so like, I'm like, that was one was like, oh, I wish that was there. But did it take away from the experience at all? Absolutely not. Like, it was so well done.
They got to play soccer instead. It's fine.
Yeah, which is fine. It's cheaper.
The only thing that I thought would have made it more powerful, I didn't feel like it was missing, which is why it took me until that moment of, is Ilya wearing his mother's necklace.
Oh, yeah.
He wears a cross literally the entire time. It was his mother's, it was Irina's, and it would have been interesting if Shane had noticed it, just like a zoom in on it early on, and it would have been interesting if he had played with it in episode 5 when he's talking about his dad, and it would have been interesting if he touched it when he's talking about his mom at the end. Yeah. And I don't think it would have needed to be more than that, but also I don't think that it was missing.
Yeah,
I think it just would have added a certain level of like tactical depth.
Yeah, because it's still visible the entire show, and he does have an oral fixation with it. Like, and when he's texting Shane, it's in his mouth. He's kind of like just chewing on it. And when they're having sex, you do kind of see it swinging in between them. But yeah, I agree. Like, they don't specifically say in the show that it was his mom. So I think
especially because they do have it as something that he's playing with, or you know, you're noticing throughout the show. And then to have him, it didn't have to be all of those different points, but just to have him touch it when he's talking about his mother, or say,
especially when
hers.
he says, my mother's name was Irina and she would have loved you. Like, that might have been a good point to just kind of call it out, because we've seen it the entire show. But Meg, to your point, to be like, and this was my mom's.
Yeah.
But that's the only sentence where I'm like, I would have included that from the book. Otherwise, the adaptation was so beautiful. And you know, Andréa, you just said, I can't think of any. So listeners, if you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, comment, tell us. Okay, here are the 2 things, listeners, I want you to tell us. One is, what would you have changed in the adaptation? Is there anything from the book that you would have included? Is there anything from the TV show that you wish they hadn't included, that it would have been stronger with? Kip. Okay.
Excuse me. No.
I'm asking questions, Andréa.
Shut your mouth, Meg.
Really,
comment
I'm just doing
below
it to
if you
bother
disagree
you
with Meg.
Yeah, please do. Actually, somebody in the comments said, like, Kip and Scott are like artisanal vanilla, where it's very well done, but it's just a very different flavor than what we get in the rest of the books. And I'm mostly just doing it to bother you guys.
It's true.
My second question for
vanilla.
listeners,
Yeah,
I know. My second question for listeners is, when do you think Shane knew that he had fallen in love?
Great
like
questions, listeners.
I like this
can't
as a
wait to
thought
see your
exercise.
answers.
There will be a test.
Because we have, like, our YouTube channel blows up whenever we post about Heated Rivalry. So that's where we want to hear from you. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Tell us what you think.
I like all of this. Okay. I want to hear from you. Favorite moments from the entire season.
Ooh.
Because I got a couple, but there are a few moments that literally I just pull up the episode and I skip to that part of the episode and I just watch that scene and then go, okay, I'm good. It's like a little amuse-bouche of happiness to get me through the day, because unfortunately this has become my entire personality.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, so I've watched the 4 first episodes twice now, but the last 2 I've only watched 1 time, so I don't know. I know I'm feeling a little behind you, because I feel like
so many times.
I feel like Nikki,
it came out during holiday break, Andréa. And
I guess that's true. Both of you guys have kids. I don't. Yeah. So literally all I did all break was play video games and watch Heated Rivalry on repeat.
Yeah.
There's no children here.
Yeah. There are lots of children here, and it's, you know, it's not really child friendly to like just put on in the background. But like for me, the scene in, I think it was episode 2, where Ilya pulls the chair over into the bedroom and like
the
watches
the cuck chair,
like it lives rent free in my head. And then there's like a ton of one-liners from Ilya where like even the boyfriend line at the end where it's like, boyfriend, yeah, maybe, probably, like those little things where I'm like, this is so well done, but I definitely need to watch the entire thing again to fully answer that question. Meg, what about you?
You know, so many ideas flashed through my mind. I think the one that feels like the subtext is the most important moment of it. Because can I say the I love you moment? Sure. But like the one that's like the moment that feels like the series to me is that sweet kiss in the stairwell.
Yeah.
Just that moment really early on where
Episode
we see
2.
that Ilya is sweet and soft. And it's not, they just had like a major banging session upstairs. But like he can still be so gentle.
Yeah. That one is on my list of top moments, is the stairwell kiss when Ilya's getting ready to go and is tying his boots and Shane's sitting on the stairs and holding like his sweater. And again, the kiss is really sweet. And it's funny because like, I'm too deep in this fandom, y'all. I am reading every interview. I'm watching all the things because Jacob Tierney did come out and say, yeah, that kiss was not quite the correct tone for where they are in the series. It was a little too sweet, but they did it and we liked it so much that we kind of said, fuck it, we're keeping it. So like, sweet. I love that. The stairwell kiss for me. I love Scott's "Can I Be Too Intense" speech from episode 3 is fabulous. I love the Russian monologue, and I love the "I love you, holy shit" scene when he's like doing the plan. I think those are probably like some of my top moments.
And I think also for me, I like to be the peg, not the square. Or I like to be the hole, not the peg. The hole, not the peg.
Yeah.
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 That little admission, the fact that he lets down his guard enough to be funny in that moment, that to me was one of the iconic moments of the show.
Oh, so good. I'm gonna have to rewatch the show again. It's just happening.
Oh, poor you.
I know, it's tragic. I'm because I still have the Crave subscription. I think it just renewed like 2 days ago for the next month. So I'm like, cool, I have it for at least another month to watch all of it. And then I immediately went and watched Shoresy because I was like, I need hockey vibes still. Yeah. So then I watched 4 seasons of Shoresy, and now I'm up to date on season 5.
All right, y'all will have to tell me like what happens with Crave and Canadian content, and like, is there a huge influx of new Canadian romance being made, or does Crave have this huge, spike, and then people end their subscriptions until next year? Like, I want to know.
Oh, they're probably going to, because we talked about this with Sarah when we were talking about the Buffalo Bills Hallmark movie, is how many people, like Bills fans, subscribed to Hallmark just to watch that movie and then canceled it. Because I got the free trial, you got the free trial, Sarah got the free trial. I was having, at the staff party I went to last night, one of my coworkers' husbands, they actually had the Bills game playing on the TV screens in the event center, because they're like, all the plus ones coming today are going to want to watch the Bills game. So I kind of asked the guys at the table, like, oh, did you watch the Hallmark Buffalo Bills movie? They're like, no, but my wife did. Like, this is great. This is great.
Another thing that I noticed and I thought was really smart, because I'm talking to you guys as the American watcher, is HBO is just like, here's all these other HBO series. I'm like, oh, they are promoting hard.
Good cross-merchandising.
Never once did Heated Rivalry show up in that top bar of like, here's what you should watch next. And I'm like, I am literally here for one show. I've watched 5 out of 6, and you can't send me to 6. You still have to send me to the pit every time I come into this house. No,
versus Crave has it as the header image. It's
everywhere.
like, here's the top TV shows. It's still number 1 in Canada.
It was still number 1. It was number 1, and it never showed up in the slider. And I'm like, I have watched 5 episodes. Know your algorithm, HBO.
Yeah, or just don't be American.
Trust me, if I had a choice, we would be having a very different conversation. Do you guys
right here?
Do you think I could move to Ottawa and get drafted by the team in order to get citizenship?
We'll plan it so you're not that far. It's only a 2-hour drive. No, just kidding. Okay, one of the questions I have for you, Nikki, is I'm so curious, now that you've read the entire series, which, by the way, is a feat in and of itself, because it's only been 2 weeks since.
She does like a hate read though. She'll read it in like 2 hours and then she'll go back and read it again.
It was a day and a half, to finish it. I literally probably read 8 hours one day and then a couple hours the next day to finish the entire thing. Because I bought
my sweet, brilliant child.
I bought the ebook versions that have like 3 books in one.
Yeah.
So volume 1 and volume 2. Yeah. So I read it all.
Okay.
I like that that's what she thinks makes her a fast reader, is like, no, but I only had to change books once instead of 5 times. That's the one that usually holds me back.
Hundreds of thousands of words. Okay, so I want to know, has your opinion changed on sports romance? Because I kind of want you to read more now, but I don't know if, like, has your opinion changed about sports romance?
Not really. It's not like I don't read it. I would say I don't mind series when sports romance is kind of like the background thing. Because, Beth Bolden had her football series. Like, she's got 3 different football series. I've read all of them. Like the Condors and the Florida one. I can't remember.
Pariahs?
Like, I've read all of those. Yeah. Piranhas.
Piranhas.
Maybe? I don't remember. Yeah. I've read Talbauer's hockey stuff. I've read a lot of the Puck Boys and the CU series. Like it's just never going to be my go-to. And even with this series, I never would have read it if not for the show. It's just like, it's not my vibe. So I don't think it's necessarily changed it because the things that make me not like it are still true. It just wasn't like, especially with the long game. Honestly, I'm furious about the long game. I hate it. I hated it.
I hate
do you
like,
need,
it
me,
makes
do you need me to go?
No, it's not. I'm not
we
gonna
can talk
spoil
about
anything.
it in like general terms.
I'll text you afterwards.
Yes, it was.
No, I think we could do like a spoiler section here. I think people would want to hear your opinion about the long game. I just will leave the room for a minute.
Well, maybe when season 2 comes out, we'll see how.
I feel like I won't get the visceral Nikki reaction.
Meg, take your earphones out for like 10 seconds. Okay. Spoiler alert for the long game. Fuck Montreal so hard.
Yep.
Fuck JJ. I know he came around, but fuck him.
Yep.
Fuck the fans. This made me absolutely fucking furious. He won them how many Stanley MLH Cups, whatever, and they treated him like that. They were calling it a Hollander dynasty. He was their captain. You just know after this, Yuna became the number one like Metro/Voyageurs. Like, she would make a Finsta account and just start fucking trash talking the team.
Yeah.
I couldn't, Drea, I got angry when I was reading this to the point where it ruined the book for me because of how angry I was. I don't care that it ended up okay.
Yeah.
I don't care that Shane went to play in Ottawa and it worked out.
Yeah.
I'm still angry about it. It ruined the series for me. That book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Furious.
I'm actually glad Meg left for that because okay, so for me, it was the forced outing that I thought you would not like, but I thought that piece would make you furious, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, Meg.
Yeah.
Welcome
We're good
back.
now, Meg. I've let out my
She's
opinions.
let out her rage, and I understand her perspective now, and I honor that.
All right. Okay, beautiful. Anything to finish off our thoughts on Heated Rivalry Season 1 or the books?
Okay,
I would just like to say, Rachel Reed has also said this, even though she's also said, I don't have any impact over what gets in Season 2. There's a lot of people want to see Troy and Harris. Mm-hmm. I feel like they are probably the most popular couple in the series next to Shane and Ilya. And I would agree. Troy and Harris are my second favorite. So I do hope that they are present in Season 2.
Troy and Harris their book is my favorite book in the series. And so
This is Role Model for those who haven't read it.
Yeah, Role Model is my absolute favorite book in the series, like hands down. And then it's Heated Rivalry. So I'd be curious to see if they do, they already mentioned Ryan Price. Will his story come to light? Or will they jump straight to the long game because of how many people like Heated Rivalry? Like, I'll be very curious because long game and Role Model have the same timeline. There's a lot of overlap at least. And so it'd be very curious if they just do that, but we shall see.
Well, Jacob Tierney did say he was going to start writing Season 2 after the holidays. So, Jacob, I hope you are focused. I hope you are energized. I hope you don't listen to the fans and just write what you think is best, because this happens when somebody has like a really good first season or a really good like first film, and they're given constraint, and then it goes so well that the next installment, they're given bigger budgets and full creative freedom, and it goes downhill. I'm like, no, constraint is a great thing. Yes. So, Jacob, just go have fun.
Okay. We usually end with like, what do you ship the most? But I feel like we've already done that. So I'm going to ask a different question. And then I'm going to put you both on the spot because I don't have an answer for it either. If there was one thing that you could see or that you would hope would carry forward from this experience of Heated Rivalry blowing up as a storytelling device, as something that society is embracing a little bit differently, what if there was one thing to move forward in future novels, in future Hollywood or non-Hollywood,
like
CanCon productions, what would that be?
For me, it would be that they treated this like a romance. Like, they didn't do the conventional cliffhangers. They didn't do like the high drama, because, you know, Bridgerton season 4 is coming out soon. And I was really thinking about that as an adaptation compared to the Heated Rivalry adaptation. And there's always things you're going to do in terms of how are we updating narrative to be more cinematic? How are we maybe adjusting characters to show diversity in different ways? But the one thing that has bothered me about the Bridgerton TV show is I think they stopped treating it like a romance and they started treating it like a TV show. So they're introducing this drama and conflict in ways that I don't like. And that's why, like, I think I said in the first episode we did on Heated Rivalry, I was really nervous about the adaptation. Because I was like, where is this going to go? I was worried that they were going to fuck it up. And it was so good that I was prepared for a huge letdown that never came, which honestly fucked with me emotionally. Like I was ready for the fuck up to happen and it didn't. So now I'm like, is the fuck up going to be in season 2? And will that destroy us all? Like, I don't know. But that's what I want to see happen more, because so far that is really only seen in Hallmark W network made for Netflix type of movies. And even then, like, respect the genre. Yes. It's like, you know, it's like Christopher Nolan makes fun of Marvel movies. Like, he looks down on them, but then he'll try to do comic adaptations like Batman. He goes, but it's not a comic book movie. So there's a real like derision on the source material that was not present here. Yeah. Not in the adaptation, not in the writing, not even in the social media campaigns. So if you are going to make a romance adaptation, a romance property, treat it like a fucking romance and don't be ashamed of the conventions of the genre. That's why we like it. That's why we read it. That's why I read 700 romance books last year. Give me the cake that I want.
Yeah.
And don't make me feel
cupcakes.
Dumb. There you go. So that's what I want.
We don't want salad. Stop trying to make us eat our vegetables. We want
kale.
cupcakes.
I want cupcake.
Yeah. I really hope that they look at some of our other favorite iconic queer romances and they turn them into more adaptations. Like, could you imagine like Monstrous or even like Goliaths?
Goliaths would be incredible.
Goliaths would be great.
I need it. I really.
I feel like that's a big leap to
that
go
would be
from humans to Goliath.
Costumes alone,
the budget would be huge.
Would be insane. But like extremes aside, I really do hope that producers are looking at this and going, what other queer romance properties can we turn into film? I would love to see it.
If nobody has purchased Him, They, Us yet,
come on,
Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy, like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, between that
the next
and then
natural progression from here.
Yeah, and then Puck Boys just got a trad pub deal.
Yes.
For at least the first 3, I think. So,
and I'd love to see us move outside of hockey and sports.
Yeah,
also,
I would like to see some non-hockey, non-sports stuff, but
if we're gonna like make steps, those might be some of the next spaces to go. For all of the producers listening to our podcast, here are my recommendations.
Meg, do you have one?
It's kind of the opposite side of the coin of yours, Nikki, which is you're saying you're glad that this didn't get treated like prestige television with the cliffhangers, with the feeling like everything has to be drama.
We have to put the drama. No.
I am so glad that they did treat it like a movie. They filmed it like a movie. They trusted people. They didn't dumb it down to a rom-com where they had to like trip into people. And then you started talking about Bridgerton, and we're going to do Bridgerton season 4. Y'all listen it up because that'll come out on February 4th. So mark your calendars. We'll be back. But also, like, next week, we're going to do People We Meet on Vacation, which is a rom-com book. Yeah. Because those are the ones that usually get made. And to take something that's a bit more of a dramatic romance that doesn't have a clear HEA at the end of it, that has this long time span, and to treat it like a solid movie that is a long stretch that doesn't get dumbed down to Hallmark dialogue, that you felt like you had to watch it like you would watch a movie, was so satisfying, gratifying, all the words that we just used. And, you know, we're going to go through People Meet on Vacation, also a long timeline thing, also a, you know, Friends to Lovers. Well, not, it is a Friends to Lovers, but it's not the same tone. It's not the same vibe. I'm sure we'll have different opinions on it, but it's not going to be treated the same way as a prestige television show. It's not going to be filmed the same way. It's going to be this bright rom-com, which is what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more romance where it's treated like a work of art and not a throwaway for the women crowd.
Agreed. Stamp it. Set it here. Predictions for the next season. Okay, we have come to the end of our 3-episode recap of the Heated Rivalry Season 1. A little bit about the books, a little bit of my strong thoughts about later books in the series that Meg had to leave the room for. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. To all of you who have liked, comment, and subscribed, we appreciate you so much. And that is the number one thing you can do to support this show. Tell a friend. I only listen to podcasts based on my friends' recommendations. So tell a friend, share it. Follow us on social media. We are at First Dates and Soulmates on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and the YouTube. You can check out our website, firstdatesandsoulmates.com. Meg has put together a very fun quiz to give you some custom playlists of our top episodes. And we would just really appreciate it. And if you do have a little bit of money to spend each month, you can support us by buying our merch. The link is in the show notes, or subscribe to the show on Substack. Do it for a month. Do it for many months. We are just so happy you are here. And that is us kicking off 2026. Oh man, I'm still going to be writing 2025 until at least June. But we are in the new year. Drea, thank you so much for coming on this hockey journey with us. We appreciate you always when you get to join our throuple. We are stronger when you are present. And coming up next week, as Meg said, we are going to be talking about the Netflix adaptation of Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation. We will see you then. Bye, loons.